All right, today we're going to be talking about books, okay? How many books do we have? Yeah, we got 2 currently, right? The client currently has 2, and what we're going to do is tie that into the core offer. Now look, it doesn't matter if the books don't directly pertain to the core offer. It doesn't matter. As long as your name is on the book, then it shows credibility and authority. So here's how we would handle these 2 books. Number 1, at our core offer, we're going to use a webinar. Okay, and in that webinar, the first thing we're going to start out with is letting anybody know that they're on the webinar. At the end of the webinar, you're going to be giving away a free gift. That free gift is going to be one of the books. You give them a link at the very end so that they can redeem their free book, okay? freebook.com. You send them there. They get a sales page so that they can get their free book, but they have to pay for shipping. The shipping offsets the cost of the book. It's a free plus shipping deal. In the process, we collect names and email addresses that we can follow up with. We know that they like you because they've sat through your webinar and they wanted your book. And that's a hot lead for you to follow up with later on. So that's fantastic that we would do that. And then the second thing we would do is we would give this book away during the webinar. Okay, so before, well, that would be up here. Before we get to the end of the webinar, we, at the very end, we give away the free book. Before the end, we add it as the value stack. Okay, so after you make your presentation, after you tell them what you're selling, and you start adding on those extra bonuses and those extra values, one of those is going to be this book. You have to decide which book to do which with, okay? And because, I mean, if they're buying the $500, $600, $700 offer that you're selling, then giving away a free book is not a big deal. And you should be able to sell enough of these to not only more than offset the cost of the book, but also this one if the shipping cost doesn't totally cover it. So you might operate at a loss on this book, but only by a little bit. And then you've got, several leads to follow up with. And it should balance out and then some. So add that, but sell it. You want to sell it in the webinar as being the book that's going to show you your top 3 methods and how to understand and overcome, and this book is going to show you, why people do a certain thing and why you might be doing it and how you can fix it. And you're going to have several slides that are really selling them on this book, and then let them know how much value it packs, and you're going to give it to them today when they sign up absolutely free. So add that as part of the value stack. Now the other thing we're going to do with both of these is that we're going to offer them at any speaking engagement that you are involved in. So you're not going to sell that from the stage, but you would sell that from a table somewhere else. And it doesn't really matter if you sell many of them. That's not the goal. The goal is to show that you're an author of books. And that's also what this is going to do in your webinar. It's going to show authority, and that's an important thing. And then in the speaking engagement, I've got some books out there, and then that opens up conversations with people because you're going to be hanging out at those tables. You're going to be talking to people, shaking their hands, getting their contact information, and that becomes a lead generation tool, right? It becomes a social tool that you can learn more about people. When they buy that book at the event, the goal is not to make money, but the goal is to capture their email address and their telephone numbers that you can follow up with later on, or a member of your team could. That leads us to down here to the 3rd book. And you might be saying, what? But she only has 2 books, Shane. What about a 3rd book? Look, I don't recommend that everybody writes a book. I only recommend that people who have written 2 books write a book, because we know that they can do it, okay? And in this case, I think clearly she should do it, only this time with a renewed perspective, with the goal being to drive traffic to this core offer. I mean, every chapter talks about stories about how so many people are being helped by this coaching process. and so on and so forth, right? Just really kind of pushing that core offer. Adding value, of course. It's not a sales book, but it does have an agenda. Okay, now we have a method in place. I know you guys are familiar with it. The book writing method, and where we can write a book between 7 and 30 days. So it's not extremely complicated, although people who have written books have invested a lot of themselves in it. It's a painstaking effort most of the time. Our method here works really well, so maybe we'll have a chance to help her out with that. And then also we have this book. The goal of this book is to take people from where they currently are to where they currently want to go, right? The target right there. That's where we're trying to get them to. And this book is going to get them maybe about this far, or it's going to get them further along in the process, but they're going to really understand the value of that core offer, and then so now at this point we run traffic to this book, right? So we place remember where we're running traffic from. It's YouTube and Facebook. YouTube because it's free, Facebook because it's predictable, right? And we're going to have a link out to this offer. So we're going to sell this book using a free plus shipping model on Facebook, okay? And then also free plus shipping, same link, same funnel, and then we would do that from YouTube as well. So in the YouTube video, we would talk about various things, several videos, all of which are going to include a link at the bottom so that they can click through and get to the same place that they would get to if they clicked on the Facebook ad, which is going to be the long form sales form that gets them to this free plus shipping offer here. So that is the book strategy. Or at least a summary version. There's targeting to consider here. There's video optimization to consider here. All these things have to be happening. It sounds really simple to explain, but we can get into great detail here, great detail here. Speaking engagement sounds good, but how do we book them? We'll be talking about that in the next video.